25 years ago, I started teaching English. I taught at high schools, businesses, universities, and I taught private students in one-on-one expressions that we use. So I'm going to give you my...
Welcome back. Learn English pronunciation with IK by IK. I learning English pronounce, and I listen and listen. My professor, A.J. Hodge, but there is other professor. And when I listened and listened, professor, I think, I ask myself, will I be another person if I spoke like A.J. native, A.J. Hodge? Will I be another person if I spoke English, my secondary language, if I spoke English like native speaker? It is first question, but second question is, who is a native speaker? Does it all native speaker have same personality? No. And my answer to that question is, it is impossible. If I speak like native, if I listen 3 years, 4 years, A.J. Hodge, understand, listen, complete, and if I have a lot of from him, if I spoke like him, for example, but it is for me impossible, but if I spoke for him, spoke like him, it will not be never like him, because color, temperament, emotion, motivation, and all other is different in my speech. I cannot moving like he, and I cannot copy all of them. There is people with special talent for imitation, imitate somebody other, but it is very, very rare. Actors, professional actors, in the best actors in the world, must repeat some scene lot of times, lot of times, must repeat some sentence lot of times, that they be like somebody other. And it is a big professional job to be actors, or people who know imitate like special talent. But people cannot change personality. Is 99% of personality is other than speech language. Language is only one small part of personality, and that small part cannot change personality. And because for that example, that every man has a unique personality. You see now lot of speaker, teachers, native, non-native, in this part of the video, what is now will be produced.
Fast native speech, and first let you just listen to that and see if you can understand what I'm saying. And then
Can you say 3? The TH is unvoiced. I can't think of any words where the TH in this cluster is voiced. So if you can think of any words, put them in the comments.
Words that show contrast in English. You'll need this vocabulary when expressing an argument, when making a presentation, in written English. Nevertheless, all the words we look at, you can use in everyday conversation too. You spot them.
But it's very much important because
And again.
weapons, because that's very much important. Weapons, because that's very much important.
And again.
Very much important for both of us. Very much.
EnglishWithVanessa.com. Let's talk about 4 ways to sound more American when you speak English. Watching an American movie and thought, it would be great if I could sound like Tom.
To you about slang. How cool is that? In this lesson, I'm going to talk to you about some popular slang that is used in America. But before we begin, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to our social media classes.
I'm Emma from English. I've made several videos about English idioms, and that's because they're a really important part of English. They're expressions that come up all the time, in both written English and spoken English, in formal and informal conversations. When used correctly, especially
Ukrainian artist Oleg Shuplyak. What do you see? Do you see the face of a man? Or do you see somebody painting a cottage?
Any day. I would choose a smart Japanese with a thick English accent over a boring American. Any day of the week. Don't confuse being lonely with wanting to practice your English. We all want to talk, want somebody to talk to, somebody interesting to talk.
Do you have to think about it? Of course you do. But if you just think about it, if you spend too much time thinking and not doing, you're going to fail. So exactly, sometimes you gotta just jump in and action. There's no time to worry because you're too busy.
To be a student, then I'll teach you. So I signed up for a 3-day course. I was watching television in Honolulu.
But now, I must say this. When I sit down in front of my computer and want to learn pronunciation of English, I write in Google English pronunciation.
Long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ.
Recognizes her voice, and it prefers listening to her voice over anyone else's. How can we know this? Newborn babies can't do much, but one thing they're really good at is sucking. Researchers take advantage of this fact by
different species of animals, not just us primates, but also including other mammals, birds, even marsupials like kangaroos and wombats. It turns out that there's a relationship between
people in how we judge others. The first thing I want to tell you is that there's a brain region in the human brain, in your brains, whose job it is to think about other people's thoughts. This is a picture of it. It's called the right to...
But a collection of highly specialized components, each solving a different specific problem, and yet collectively making up who we are as human beings and thinkers. To give you a feel for this idea, imagine the following scenario. You walk into your child's daycare center. As usual, there's a dozen kids there waiting to get picked up.
Our minds, and we have a sense that it's every one of us that is experiencing this, not the person who is sitting next to you. So in order to have a conscious mind, you have a self within the conscious.
Saw the lady in half. He merely makes you think that he does. That's not my department, I'm sorry.
All this. But if you want to understand how a brain works, you have to understand how the first part of the mammalian neocortex works, how it is we store patterns and make predictions.
Doesn't come natural to me. Like what? Like every piece of information's literally on your phone. And then like learning process. Every organization has its own process.
Elon is actually more famous and more sought out than most extroverted rock stars on the planet, which is why in this video we're going to break down what you can do to make that kind of impact on people so that you can achieve 10 times more than your peers. And I will say though, brushing up on presentation skills is still going to be important for most people, so I'm going to link to helpful videos now in the corner and in the description. First off,